The only people who don't want to disclose the truth are people with something to hide.
The long-delayed permitting process for a proposed expansion of the natural gas storage facility and salt domes beneath Lake Muir in Iberia Parish is once again moving forward. A public hearing on one of the 3 remaining state permits needed for the controversial project is set for February 20 in New Iberia. Atlanta-based AGL Resources is proposing to scour out 2 new salt caverns for natural gas storage at its Jefferson Island Storage and Hub facility, expanding on the 2 storage caverns that have been there since the 1990s and more than doubling storage capacity. Nara Crowley, a Lake Muir area resident, who has been fighting the expansion, said she hopes state regulators will give the project a closer look in light of the ongoing issues with the large sinkhole believed to be related to a failed salt cavern at Bayou Corn in Assumption Parish. It should have an impact, she said. AGL, which is not connected to the sinkhole in Assumption Parish, will consider any lessons learned there, said Richard Hyde, Managing Director of Government Affairs for AGL. We are very cognizant of the situation that is going on in Bayou Corn, Hyde said. But he also said past tests have found no problems with the caverns at Lake Muir and no problems are expected with the new ones. The permit at issue in the February 20 public hearing is for dredging work needed to bring equipment into the lake for the cavern expansion work. AGL needs 2 other state permits for the project, one, to scour out caverns in the salt dome and another, to use the scoured caverns for natural gas storage. The State Department of Natural Resources plans to hold additional public hearings for each of those permits, DNR spokesman Patrick Coeregia said. AGL's proposed expansion had been on hold since 2006, when then Governor Kathleen Blanco called for an extensive environmental study of the project. AGL filed a lawsuit against the state, and the case ended with a settlement in 2009 that called for additional safeguards but not the environmental review that residents in the area had demanded. After the settlement, the permitting process started anew. Show caption: in addition to questions about safety, Lake Muir residents have argued that the up to 3 million gallons of water a day needed to scour out the salt caverns might draw down the upper Chico aquifer to the point where salt water would push in from farther south and contaminate local wells. AGL has maintained there would be no significant effect on water quality. Crowley, the Lake Muir area resident, said there is also concern that proposed dredging could disturb an ecosystem that is beginning to show signs of recovery after the 1980 drilling disaster at Lake Muir. A drilling rig on the lake poked through the top of a salt mine, and the entire water body flowed through the opening, filling the mine below. AGL has stated in permitting documents that the company would use only the minimal amount of dredging needed and would minimize the disturbance of lake bottom sediment. Crowley also pointed to mysterious bubbling at Lake Muir. Bubbling also was reported at Bayou Corn before the sinkhole developed there last year, but the bubbling at Lake Muir has been much more sporadic. Still, Crowley said, testing by various government agencies has not identified the cause of the bubbles. We don't know what this bubbling is, she said. Hyde said that while the testing has not identified the precise cause of the bubbling, testing has confirmed that it is not coming from our wells. He also said mechanical integrity tests on the existing caverns, which he compared to leak tests, have found no problems. The public hearing on the permit needed for the dredging work is scheduled for 6 p.m. February 20 at the Willowwood Park Building, 113 Willowwood Drive, New Iberia. Texas Brine Company, LLC update February 3, 2013. The sinkhole has remained stable since January 19, when vegetative material rose to the surface and a small area sloughed in on the southern perimeter. The vegetative material was corralled on the southeastern edge of the sinkhole, and is expected to be removed this coming week. No other changes to the size or shape of the sinkhole have been observed. 2. Rehabilitation and elevation of the first segment of the access road, that runs southward from Highway 70 along the western side of the pipeline right-of-way has been completed. A total of approximately 35,000 cubic yards of fill dirt were added to raise the road elevation, and also create a drill pad for a 1,000-foot deep geophone well. Following the installation of the mat to support the drilling rig, the first casing was driven, the rig was assembled and drilling began early Sunday morning. 3. Construction of the square-shaped containment berm surrounding the sinkhole has begun. Work on the southern segment is underway and stretches from the Texas Brine site, westward across the pipeline right-of-way to the southern end of the access road off of Highway 70. This road will continue to be upgraded southward from the 1,000-foot deep geophone well, and will serve as the western boundary of the containment system. Texas Brine's facility site will provide containment on the eastern boundary. The northern boundary, when complete, will connect the Texas Brine entrance road to the access road nearer to Highway 70. 4. 2 additional relief wells have been installed on the Texas Brine site. This brings the total relief well count on the site to 4. The first relief well, installed in late October, continues to flare natural gas at the surface. The other 3 are being prepared to start flaring next week. 2 new relief wells have been installed off-site, one on the access road near the intersection with Highway 70, and another on the northern side of Highway 70 west of the Rig Road entrance. 7 additional relief wells will be installed in the area to complete Phase 2. Installation of those wells is targeted for completion by mid-February. An additional 10 relief wells will be installed for Phase 3, as access to properties becomes available. 5. The 3D seismic project is progressing. Project design is complete. Efforts now are concentrated on surveying and on landowner access and permitting. Representatives of the 3D seismic contractor are working to secure permission from Bayou Corn homeowners to place seismic geophones on their property. The placement of the geophones in the Bayou Corn community, as well as all other receiver points in the project design area, is important to the acquisition of sufficient data to generate as clear an image as possible of the subsurface geologic conditions to a depth of 7,000. 6. The passive seismic monitoring system that will replace the USGS geophones currently in use is nearing completion. The system will be comprised of a 480-foot deep geophone array, individual geophones placed in 6 80-foot deep cased wells and a geophone array placed in well number 1, and the final component, a geophone array placed in the 1,000-foot deep well being drilled adjacent to the access road west of the Texas Brine site. The entire system is expected to be in place by mid-February. The seismic data collected by all of the geophones in this passive system will be directed to the same repository for analysis. 7. After being closed in for the past 2 weeks, the observation well was opened Thursday in attempt to remove any liquid hydrocarbon remaining in cavern number 3. That process yielded no liquid hydrocarbon. The most recent logging of the cavern indicated that floor had risen 100 feet since last measured on January 18. 8. To date, 23 pairs of LEL and H2 indoor monitors have been installed in 16 qualifying structures in the Bayou Corn community. By the middle of next week, an additional 22 monitors are to be installed in 14 other structures. The monitors are designed to detect both the lower explosive limit LEL and hydrogen sulfide gas, if any were to migrate into enclosed spaces and slab-on-grade homes and structures as well as in vented spaces beneath raised dwellings and structures. If either is detected at the preset alarm levels 10% for LEL and 10 ppm for hydrogen sulfide, the monitor alarm will be triggered, and a signal will be transmitted to local emergency responders. To assure transmission signal strength, a series of outside antennas have been installed at carefully chosen locations throughout the Bayou Corn community. To date, after over 90 indoor air sampling events by DEQ and Texas Brine contractors, no detectable levels of LEL or hydrogen sulfide have been found. 9. On December 7, 2012, the LDNR ordered Texas Brine to make available certain seismic data to the public on a real-time basis. The data is available by pasting the following URL in a browser. To ensure adequate dissemination of this information, this link is also provided below. Note to the media: going forward, updates will be issued only on those days, when there are activities that would be deemed reportable or of possible interest for follow-up. If there are any questions regarding any aspect of Texas Brine's response effort, please contact Sonny Cranch 225-921-1942 for more information about Texas Brine Company's response to the Bayou Corn incident. Visit.
If there's a blue pill and a red pill, and the blue pill is half the price of the red pill and works just as well, why not pay half price?